Hey guys, when I started my Wonka Theory video, I fully intended it to just be one video, but whenever I put the clips in and had all my evidence kind of put out throughout the video, it ended up being about the length of a syndicated TV sitcom episode. So, since everybody's busy, I don't want to have you sit there for 22 minutes to get the finale of this video. So I split it into two parts. Today's kind of the setup and the kind of hashing out of different theories. And tomorrow is going to be, if you're watching on the day this comes out, the wrap up and the main theory video. So watch today's video for the background and some subsequent theories, and tomorrow will be the wrap up to this one theory video split into two parts. Kind of think of it as your Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 or your Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. We get the build up today and the payoff tomorrow. Hey guys, welcome back to Film Feature 43. Today, I got a Wonka theory for you from the original classic Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, made in 1971, starring Gene Wilder. I'm not going to really talk about the books today, or the 2005 Johnny Depp film, although I might mention them a little bit here and there. The main movie that I'm focusing on today is the 1971 original. So let's get into it.
There's no knowing where we're rowing, or which way the river's flowing. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is a hurricane a-blowing?
This is kind of strange.
Yeah, strange, Charlie, but it's fun.
So what made me start thinking about this film is I kind of wanted to rewatch some older movies, see if there were things that I missed in it, maybe be able to do different types of videos on them, like my secret sequel videos that I've done before. And I started watching this one, and a lot of weird things started sticking out to me. The first thing I never noticed really was how bad of a person Grandpa Joe really is. This guy lays in bed for 20 years, and now the other grandparents in the bed might have some kind of ailment that prevents them from getting out of bed, but Grandpa Joe stayed in bed for 20 years. His family's eating cabbage water every night and eating bread like it's a feast, and he just stays in bed, not working, sends his grandson out to sell newspapers, and then the second that Charlie walks in the door with a golden ticket, up jumps Grandpa Joe, dancing around singing that
I've got a golden ticket. It's ours, Charlie.
Even though he doesn't have a golden ticket. Charlie has a golden ticket, and I think his mother will be a lot more deserving to go into that chocolate factory. There's another fact that will come up later in this video, that Charlie's mother probably would have been a lot better of a caregiver in that factory. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the final thing is, whenever Charlie finally wins the chocolate factory at the end, instead of asking, what about the other grandparents, or what about your mom, Charlie, Grandpa Joe's first thought is,
And me?
can I stay here? Extremely selfish guy, and probably one of the worst people in the film that's kind of goes behind the scenes and isn't really talked about. Second thing I noticed is, where does this film take place? You have buildings that look like they're from Europe. You have Charlie and his grandfather and Willy Wonka all talking with these American accents, but then you have the teacher and a couple of the other people in the town who have these extremely British Cockney accents. It's almost like this film takes place in a parallel timeline where America never won the Revolutionary War and we stayed under British rule up until the 1970s, which would be a good theory. And I started looking into that, and I couldn't really figure out a way to make a substantial enough YouTube video to make it worth my time. So, scrap that idea, but it's kind of interesting. I like to believe that it takes place in America, especially for the sake of my theory. The third thing, and the most substantial thing for this video that I noticed, is that the Oompa Loompas always seem to know who's going to bite the dust next. They have a song ready, and they're chomping at the bit every time somebody goes under the chocolate river, or inflates like a beach ball, or falls down a goose chute, or turns into a little tiny TV man. They're always at the ready.
Ba-ba-dee-doo.
In the 2005 film, it even incorporates the people's names that have fallen victim. Again, this isn't about the 2005 film, but it's just very interesting how the Oompa Loompas always seem to know what's going to happen next. So that led me to my theory that I started with, the fact that Willy Wonka is psychic. Or at least one of the Oompa Loompas, maybe Slugworth, somebody in his organization, in the Wonka chocolate cartel, is psychic. So the fact that Willy Wonka might be psychic might have been a little bit strange. I returned the DVD back to the library and I started thinking about it, started doing some research about it, and I found out that in the original book, the glass elevator that they bust through the roof at the end of the movie, they end up going to space and fighting aliens and saving the president. So there are sci-fi elements present in this Wonkaverse that could possibly lead into Willy Wonka being psychic. So I started digging for more evidence, and I started thinking about the movie that I just watched, rewatching parts of it, and the first piece of evidence that I got that Willy Wonka had some kind of foreshadowing of what's going to happen is the fact that Slugworth shows up at every ticket winner's residence or their parents' factory as soon as they win the tickets. Whether it's Augustus Gloop in Dusseldorf, or Veruca Salt in Buckinghamshire, UK, or the last three kids who all end up being in either Montana or Arizona or Wonkaland, USA, they all seem to be in the United States, at least that last clip of the three of them, which I thought was kind of odd if it wasn't planned out. Why would those last three just happen to fall in the United States, where it'd be easier for Slugworth to go from town to town, offering these kids money for their everlasting gobstopper? They could have been anywhere. It could have been in China. We see them selling candy in China. It could have been in the White House, where Slugworth wouldn't even be able to get in. And that leads me to a strange part of the film where Charlie, the whole world thinks that the contest is over. Charlie ends up winning a ticket, and boom, Slugworth is there. So how did he know that the guy in Argentina didn't actually have the winning ticket? He didn't even go to Argentina to see, hey, is this real? You got the ticket? He knew that the guy in Argentina didn't have the ticket, so he stayed in Wonkaville, hunted down Charlie, and offered him the money for the gobstopper, because Slugworth, as we see in the end, works for Willy Wonka. His real name is Mr. Wilkinson, and he's on the payroll. He knows where the tickets are going to end up. Willy Wonka even says at the end of the film he needs a kid to carry on his legacy that's going to run the factory the way he wants it ran.
Who can I trust to run the factory when I leave and take care of the Oompa Loompas for me? Not a grown-up. A grown-up would want to do everything his own way, not mine.
So, a multi-millionaire from Argentina doesn't fit the bill, never was in the plan. Slugworth wasn't going to Argentina. He knew that the last ticket was going to be in Wonkaland. And think about the odds that if he lived anywhere other than Wonka Town, he would have made it there because he found the ticket the day before the contest ended and the day before he was supposed to walk up that red carpet into the factory. It wouldn't have happened, especially as poor as Charlie is. The odds of a poor kid winning where he doesn't have a dad to buy thousands of boxes to get his peanut shellers to shell him is very slim. But like I said before, it could have been anywhere in the world. What are the odds it happened in the town that the Wonka factory's in the day before the contest ended? So Willy Wonka's a psychic. Problem solved. That's how the Oompa Loompas know who is going to fall into one of these traps, and that's how Slugworth knows who to offer money to for the everlasting gobstopper. But there was an issue. I couldn't really, other than that circumstantial evidence, couldn't really find any evidence to say that Wonka's psychic. So I started doing more research and rewatched two films from the YouTube channel Film Theory that I linked down in the description. And in those films, Matt Pat talks about, spoiler alert, the fact that what are the odds that all 5 kids were white that won the tickets, and what are the odds that Charlie would win the factory, and all the OSHA violations that are going on. And the reason that the contest was held to begin with was to offload this mess of a factory onto some unsuspecting kid who thinks they hit the jackpot and ends up not winning the jackpot. They're great videos. I have a lot of respect for film theory. They do a good job over there, and if you like this video, definitely go over there and check them out. It's definitely worth a watch. But that got me thinking. The whole point of those videos are to pretty much say that this contest was rigged from the beginning. Willy Wonka had a agenda behind what he was doing, and I started thinking of another franchise with similar plot to this. So I agree with film theory's assessment of the film. I just want to take it a step further. Whoa. No spoilers for tomorrow. Come back and watch the second half of this video tomorrow to kind of see where I take this theory and wrap it up in a nice little bow.